9 state ethics violations against the mayor of Otter Creek, and you're named in 4 of them.
It looks like there's potential that LIEnette and John CROOK are going to have a whole lot more of lawsuits coming down their way. We got the receipts, the proof. We got the timeline, the screenshots. We're not the only ones that LIEnette and John CROOK have made life a living. Usually hails is a good word. Well, there's many, many more, and many, many more opportunity for those that they have destroyed lives with false allegations to actually go after them legally. Now, we all know that LIEnette has stated that I've broken the civil protection temporary injunction. We have the civil protection order. We can't break a civil protection order out of Ohio, even though she keeps claiming that I've broken the civil protection order out of Ohio, even though CROOK has claimed I've broken the civil protection order out of Ohio. You can't break something that is one way towards them. It has nothing to do with any limitations on our life. But she has claimed that I've broken the temporary injunction in Florida multiple times. As a matter of fact, here's 4 pages right here from the state attorney that states they have thrown it all out. Yep. Again, false allegations. The state of Florida, by the undersigned authority, enters a novel proesque in the above title action, which means there is nothing to prosecute. It's being thrown out. The count? Violation of domestic... what does that say there? Violence injunction. There's been no violence, and there has been no violation. You may recall in the Ohio court hearings, John CROOK stating, "Your Honor, Tubetown is coming." He also stated, "Isn't it true? This is all about the ethics report that I filed, and you're named in 4 of those ethic violations." Well, it is true. He did file an ethics report against Madam Mayor Therese. As a matter of fact, there's a number of different things that he filed against her, which were all false. And he mentioned me as well, which was all false. And if Madam Mayor and her husband Brett determine they're going to do so, they can take them to court for defamation because the investigation has already happened. I'm going to share with you what he said and how we're going to use it in federal court for defamation and how Madam Mayor Therese and Brett could use it as well.
Isn't it true that you're just mad? Because I have 9 state ethics violations against the mayor of Otter Creek, and you're named in 4 of them, and the state is investigating you guys right now.
Objection, hearsay, move to strike.
Sustained.
Oh, no, it's not hearsay. The state's involved, and they were just in Otter Creek.
When LIEnette and CROOK stalked us to Otter Creek, there was one person filming town hall meetings. Oh, wait, hold a second. That was Russ the Suss's daughter 10 years previous, Charlene. Well, then LIEnette and CROOK took up the challenge, took up the opportunity and started filming all of the town hall meetings, setting up signs all over. Anti-Russ the Suss, anti-Mary DeGroot, anti-Attorney Warm, anti-Stuart Stewart, anti-anybody and everything. There's only one couple. Boy, that sounds so weird, even calling them a couple, as much as she wants him to, and he throws her under the bus and everybody else as well. Okay, there's only one dysfunctional couple in Otter Creek that actually was filming and setting up signs everywhere. Now, it wasn't until it tremendously impacted my own personal life that I started filming the dysfunction and the chaos of town hall meetings. Now, it's important to understand, as I share these ethic violations alleged that John CROOK sent to the ethics committee in Tallahassee, Florida, that John CROOK wasn't in any of the town hall meetings. Why? Because LIEnette would not let him go. Why? Because he is drunk all the time. As a matter of fact, if you go back and if you look at any of their videos, It's constantly got the shakes in it because he needs another rink. Crook set in 9 potential violations that he alleged. 9. And I have the screenshots of all of them. I've got all the proof. It's all we need. Now, I got to warn you beforehand, trying to get into the mind of a master moron is not going to be easy for any of us. Spelling's going to be a little bit rough. Okay, it's going to be a lot rough, okay? And grammar, syntax, sentence structure, it's all, none of that means anything to the crook. But I will do the best that I possibly can to share this with you and why we have it currently and what we're going to do with it in federal court against him. Keep in mind, I have a federal suit against LIEnette and a separate federal suit against John Crook. Both of them in the federal suit will be deposed 2 days each. 2 days. Sitting next to a judge. They will not be able to get out of any depositions whatsoever. If they are out of order whatsoever, they will be held in contempt right then, right there. So, let's see. Crook thinks this is all about his ethics complaints. That's what all this is about. Has nothing to do with the stalking and the threats and the postings and the harassment on a actual level. So number 1, he says this: Otter Creek's mayor, Teresa. Well, as far as I know, Otter Creek has never even had a mayor, Teresa, and yet that's what he has there, Teresa. All right. The mayor after Russ the Sus was Therese. So these two can't even get the right names. That's pretty pathetic when you're writing into a government agency that's supposed to be over different government institutions such as the town council in Otter Creek, and you can't even give them the right name. Otter Creek's mayor, Teresa. Not her name.
It could have been thrown out because her name was spelled wrong.
Well,
It's happened before.
Well, it wasn't thrown out. We'll get to the full story. Was voted into office. Oh, yes. Well, the people in Otter Creek did vote her into office, and she was the best vote in the office. The very next day, knowing that Jeremy Hales, now be very, very, very conscientious that my name is right there. This is copies of the report that went to Tallahassee. He writes my name. Therefore, now we have not only in the defamation, slander, libel, we got them both tag teamed. It's there. Okay. This is how stupid these two are. The more they do, the more they incriminate themselves. The more foolish people in New Jersey give them wise counsel, the better they make it for us in court. I mean, honestly, it's pretty difficult for us to complain on all this wise counsel because all it does is show more proof of what they've actually done illegally. The very next day, knowing that Jeremy Hale said he was going to sue the town of Otter Creek, she invited him into the office to go through the private files. Oh, he says our private files. Knowing he was about to ready to file a lawsuit against the town of Otter Creek, which as a commissioner should be defending us, they are best friends. Okay. All right. So let's take this one broken mental sentence at a time. Jeremy said he was going to sue the town of Otter Creek. All right, well, let's take that first. Number 1, I did enter a lawsuit against the town of Otter Creek after 3 years after they stole from me. They charged me more than double what they were charging everybody else for water because I'm a northerner, sharing and showing their bigotry. Mary DeGroot, personally, with under the leadership, if you can even call it that, of Russ the Sus, went out to steal from me personally. And I gave them every opportunity to correct it. Literally every opportunity. Too much grace. Too much patience is what it amounts to. And that's the thing that I found with these individuals in Florida. If you don't set the standard and the line immediately, if you give them an inch in grace, if you give them an inch in patience, they will take mile upon mile upon mile, as you've seen, as they've dumped all over my property, as they've dealt rugs all over my property, as they've continued to trespass all over my property, as they continue to set up signs all over Otter Creek saying that I'm a child rapper. rapist. Okay, so let's get this straight. Russ the Sus is mayor. And under Russ the Sus mayorship, I file a lawsuit against the town of Otter Creek. Not under the mayorship of Teresa, who doesn't even exist, or Madam Mayor Therese, who we all know and love. It was under Russ the Sus because Mary did not give me all of the public information. What I wanted was ordinances, resolutions, the whole deal to prove they were stealing from me. Never in my life did I know there would be 6,000 emails proving that Rosemary, Don the Con's wife, was stealing from the people. Mary was stealing from the people. Russ was stealing from the people. Don the Con was stealing from the people. And the list goes on and on. So let's get one thing extremely clear. All right. He's already defamed, slandered, libeled me. And he's stating that I am now suing the town of Otter Creek because Madam Mayor's in office. No, I filed lawsuit against the town of Otter Creek after they did not give me public records, and I even gave them beyond the 30 days. Actually, I gave them 3 years. Then I went to a lawyer. Then I waited 30 days. Then they didn't do anything. Then I filed lawsuit. Then Attorney Worm, the town attorney, got involved and said, I am now in charge of giving these things to you, which he never did, which found them in a lawsuit, all under Russ the Sus. Has nothing to do with Madam Mayor. All right, well, let's take the next line then. Okay, said he was going to sue the town of Otter Creek. She invited him in the office to go through our private files. All right, okay. This is complete and total stupidity. You're not in a private office. You're in a public office, and all the files are public information. Anybody ever hear of Sunshine Law? Florida, the Sunshine State, Sunshine Law. We have full transparency, although these corrupt individuals keep trying to hide, and they do not like the camera. From the Otter Creek town level to the county commissioner level, which we found out this past month as well. The whole aspect of it is a town hall with files. It is open to the public by its very name, public information, not private. Now, I can't even fathom what goes through a demented mind to think that anything would be private in there. His address? No. His P.O. box? No. I mean, they've made sure that's not private. They post it all over the internet begging for money, begging for donations. So the whole aspect of private, I can't even fathom what would be private files in an office. Now, when Madam Mayor Therese did take office, she said that she would run with a leadership that truly was transparent. She would share the information that Russ the Sus was holding back from everyone, including the lawsuit. You understand that Russ the Sus told nobody about the town being sued? He said nothing, not a word. Not a single word. Didn't want anybody to know that he got the town in a lawsuit. So, Madam Mayor takes office. She says this will be transparent. There will be no more hiding of information. And she invites everybody to come to town hall during working hours, okay, from 10 to 2. And if anybody wants to see the condition of the office that Mary left it in, which was a complete and total dump, I mean, between turd purgatory and the town hall office, the way that Mary left it, I don't know which is worse, to be honest with you. They were both horrifically, oh, man. I mean, you step into either one and you might throw up. That's the reality. And so she transparently opened it up to the public, which is always open anyway. You don't have to go, hey, come on in. We're going to be transparent and see everything. It's town hall. You can do it anyway. By the very nature, it's public. Guess how many people actually went in, including myself, to go look at anything?
I can't speak for any of the other residents, but I know for sure you didn't go.
Nobody did. There was no reason for me to go because everything was being dealt with my lawyer and then the town attorney as well. And so why would I go into an office when I've already hired an attorney to do all of these things? Once it's in the attorney's hands, you leave it in the attorney's hands. I never went in. And I also have heard that nobody, not even John Crook himself, who's writing this went in for any of these private files, knowing he was about ready to file a lawsuit. Again, lawsuit was already filed against the town of Otter Creek, which has a commissioner. She's not a commissioner, she was a mayor. Although you could give some type of supporting argument that she was a commissioner, but she's not a commissioner, she was the mayor with the town council. She should be defending us. They are best friends. Look at this. He literally says we're best friends. So now me and this fictitious person named Teresa, who I don't even know. I honestly don't even think I know a Teresa. Maybe I do. But I'm Mother Teresa, yes, okay, I get that. But other than that, there's no Teresas in my life. And I'm definitely not best friends with a Teresa. Now, I am friends with Madam Mayor Therese, which is interesting that Crook would want to put that as an ethics violation. Oh, how dare the mayor have a friend? Apparently, if you're a mayor, you're not allowed to have friends. Now, these are the same insane people who have posted, particularly LIEnette, and yes, we have all the screenshots, that the mayor and all the commissioners down in Northport are their friends, and they're going to help them with this fight up here in Otter Creek, and yet there's not been one single individual helping them.
Probably never even donated to her rescue.
Never gave them a penny, never gave them a minute of volunteer work. All Northport wanted was them gone. So according to Crook, mayors aren't allowed to have friends. And yet, through this entire process, we have more than enough camera footage of Russ the Sus on their property, Don the Con being dropped off by Darren on their property. She's not allowed to have friends, but apparently Russ and Don the Con are. Now, isn't that a little sus? You know, they're not allowed to talk about anything that has to do with any of the meetings outside of a meeting. And yet, in the last meeting that was actually held where Russ the Sus and Don the Con walked out, they stated that they were going to fire. Yeah, well, it was actually LIEnette was stating this. They were going to fire Belinda, and then LIEnette was going to be the new town clerk. Boy, if it wasn't bad before, could you imagine what it would be like with LIEnette running the town? Number one definitely mentions me. Number two, I love it when they put it in writing and I can use it as evidence in court against them. Number two, about a week later, she had a very first meeting as the mayor. She informed the town of Otter Creek that they'd been served a lawsuit by Jeremy Hales. Oh, well, you know, this already happened. But let's keep going. By Jeremy Hales, and had to hire a law firm to defend the town. So they voted on a law firm. Later in the meeting, herself and Vice Mayor Sims, his name is Zim. It's
How
not
do you spell it?
S-I-M-S.
Isn't that a game?
Yeah, it was
like a video game.
Video game, a sim game. This is how dumb he is. Mayor Sims came up with the idea to invite all the residents to look through all the personal files. Oh, now they're personal. Are they private or are they personal? I really like to know. Are they private or are they personal? How I don't have any personal files at Town Hall. I don't know anybody that has any personal files at Town Hall. You can't put your personal files at Town Hall. There are public files that the town keeps at Town Hall, and she said yes to it. This is very unethical, and nobody should go through this is how dumb he is, A-R-E, R. What is he, a pirate now? R! You know, with all those knee replacements, we might see a peg leg really soon.
Well, she did say the sepsis traveled up to his brain.
Yes, right. The sepsis is in his brain, the walker. You know, he can walk all the way out to the road from the back of 1.66 acres with a walker, but he can't walk 2 feet onto his own property so that he's not violating a civil protection order. Go figure that one out. Same person that spells R, A-R-E, instead of O-U-R. Okay, so through all of our personal files and said yes to it. This is very unethical and nobody should go through our personal files or other files. Teresa, who I still don't know who it is, said they would do it the next day at 9 a.m. And Jeremy Hales, there I am again, number 2. Number 1, I'm mentioned. Number 2, yes, this will all be in federal court. Asked if he could look through the files, knowing there's a lawsuit, and she said yes. Okay, well, let's figure this one out again. All right, so in point number 2, lawsuit's already filed under Russ the Sus. We already figured that all out. Point number 2 as well, Madam Mayor invited anybody in the town to come to the office during normal working hours to see the condition, and if they had questions, they would answer it. All right. And
There's a video out there.
it's all on video. It's all in our Otter Creek playlist. And so, did I go? No. 9 a.m. is a little early for George. And so, I didn't end up going. As a matter of fact, 9 a.m. is sometimes a little early for me when I'm working still at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., sometimes 4 a.m., sometimes no sleep whatsoever. So 9 a.m. going into the office wasn't even an option for me. But we have already heard from Madam Mayor that nobody showed up. Do you think Russ the Sus showed up? Nope. Don the Con? Nope. John Crook? LIEnette? Nope. None of them. So they opened up town hall for everybody in an act of transparency, which is legal. It's what's expected of a town hall in the first place. It shouldn't be, now we're going to open everything up. Russ the Sus should have been running the things the exact same way, but he refused to. He wanted to hide things. And now Madam Mayor comes in and goes, we will no longer tolerate action such as that. This will be completely transparent. And when Madam Mayor is completely transparent, nobody shows up. Not even me. Now, I would have, except one condition. I had already hired an attorney, and the attorney was working to get all of the files for me, which were 100% public. I hope you understand the gravity of all of this. Now, not only does he have my name in this, he's sending this up to Tallahassee about Madam Mayor. And if Tallahassee, if the ethics committee finds that this is all fraudulent, that this is a false filing, which I'm going to share with you what they actually determined in a moment here. You understand that Madam Mayor Therese and Brett, they have a defamation lawsuit against John Crook. Do you understand how many people could actually file lawsuits against these people? Now, I understand most people want to stay out of court, but obviously we've already heard from family members that LIEnette has used this whole child rapist thing over and over again and has impacted not only my life negatively, but at a minimum 10 different men, one female that we know of as well. She's even said this stuff about Crook himself, and he's still there on the property. What kind of man stays with a woman who says such horrific things about him? That I can't comprehend at all. At all. And now you've got family members who are willing to file a lawsuit. You've got previous mayors and husbands that could file a lawsuit. You've got a tremendous amount of people. Anybody, if Russ the Sus wanted, Russ the Sus could file a lawsuit against them. If Don the Con wanted, Don the Con, Stewart, Mary, they all could file a lawsuit against them. I can't stress this enough. The county court in Ohio, the county court in Florida, the federal courts right now, these 3 courts that they find themselves in, this is so minimal to what's about to come down the pipeline for them. Number 3 out of 9. We're almost a third of the way there. A couple of days later, our mayor hired one of Jeremy Hale's employees to maybe to twerk. Oh boy, my employees better watch out. Crook's saying they're twerking. To Weezerk as our secretary in our office without a vote from the other members of the board. With a lawsuit going on. All right, so this is just pure and total defamation right here. All right, so let's figure this one out. A couple of days later, our mayor hired one of Jeremy Hale's employees. Okay, so let's take the aspect of Jeremy Hale's employee first. All right, let's break that down. Number 1, I don't have any official employees as you would potentially think of as employees. For example, when a person goes into a job and clocks in 9 to 5, they work for that organization, they have benefits through that organization, check comes through that organization, and you would go, I'm an employee of that organization. Let's say, for example, you work at Walmart. You are an employee of Walmart. Let's say, for example, you work for McDonald's. I love that double cheeseburger. I love that double cheeseburger. And George loves the fries. I mean, McDonald's is a place we frequent often, and so we appreciate all those that work at McDonald's because, frankly, we love it. And so you work at McDonald's. You are an employee of McDonald's. Now, I use the term employee very, very loosely in regards to those who help me. Anybody who works with me doesn't actually work for me. Let me see if I can clarify this for you. Now, we said it previously that they're all independent contractors. And we've said it jokingly, which we do a lot of the times. I mean, you all know I'm 99.9% time. I'm very serious. We like to use humor, but the reality is they all are independent contractors. And you're going, okay, what's an independent contractor? Well, independent contractor works for themselves, and then they will do work for you. You hire them to do work for you. For example, okay, I have a CPA, right? Is he an employee of mine? No. Do I pay him? Yes. He's a third party that I pay to help me. I have an insurance agent. Is he an employee of mine? No. Do I pay him? Yes. I need a repair. I need a plumbing repair, and I got to call a plumber, which I would never, ever, ever call Meeks and Sons. Ever. So I need a repair. Does that plumber work for me? Is he an employee of mine? The answer is no. I hired a third party to come do a job for me.
Kind of like the surveyors.
So I've hired surveyors on the property.
And that's how you found out about the encroachment.
I've hired all kinds of third parties to help me with work. So Deanna West is a third party independent contractor. And what that means is she works when she wants to work. And I say, these are the things I need help with, just like I would a plumber, just like I would an electrician, just like I would with my CPA, just like I would with George, because George is an independent contractor. Christian and Patience are independent contractors. All people who work with me don't actually work for me. They're not under me. As such, they can do whatever they want on their own time. If they want to work at 2 a.m., if George wants to work at 2 a.m., she can work at 2 a.m. It doesn't matter. She gets to choose the days, the time. For example, Deanna is not here right now that I know of anywhere. She's on a hot date, very, very hot date with her grandson, well-deserved. And she can come back whenever she wants to come back. She can leave whenever she wants to leave. She can work all night and work the midnight shift. And she doesn't have to work during the day. She determines the hours. She's an independent contract that helps me, works with me, not directly under me. And therefore, if she wants to pick up a second job and she wants to help the town of Otter Creek and get paid for it, I have no say in that. Neither does anybody else, especially John Crook. If George wants to get a second job and a third job, I have no say in that. And neither does John Crook. I have no say in what John Crook does for work, which is absolutely nothing. No more than he has any say of what Deanna West does. I have no control over individuals who are independent contractors who have helped me with my work, no more than he does. She can do whatever she wants. If she wants to pick up a second job and work part-time, she can pick up a second job. If she wants to pick up a third job, she can pick up a job. I have absolutely no control, no say. She's an independent contractor, period. Now, let's talk about this secretary position. Last I checked, there is no secretary in Otter Creek. Not a single position called secretary. Now, there is the town clerk, and that's the position that Mary was in. Let's not forget they also hired multiple other individuals as assistant town clerks. You could think bookkeeper as well, because that's a current position that we have, keeping the books away from the town clerk or the town clerk with the book. It's a checks and balance system of part-time positions. This is not a difficult job in Otter Creek. This is a very limited 10 hours a week part-time job in Otter Creek. And so, number one, there is no secretary. Last I looked, there's never been a secretary in Otter Creek. Number two, oh boy, here we go. A voter from the other members of the board. Okay, so she says he did it days later. And without a vote from the other members of the board, with a lawsuit going on. Well, you obviously understand that all the receipts, all the proof, all the timeline, all the screenshots are there.
On video.
On video.
During a town hall meeting.
During town hall meeting.
In the minutes.
Vice Mayor Zim. Not Sim.
Sims.
Not Sims. Zim. He makes the first nomination. I nominate that we actually hire Deanna West as interim clerk while we look for a full-time clerk because we need somebody. Now, who's the one that said, ain't no clerk, ain't no show?
Ain't no clerk, ain't no show.
The town council votes Deanna West in as interim clerk, not secretary, unanimously. Even Russ the Sus, Don the Con approve. Do you understand the amount of defamation that is written in here? Complete and total lies, falsehoods, and the legal liability John Crook is in because of it. Anybody could go after these individuals. And I think there's going to be a train lining up to go after these individuals. They think that the lawsuits that I'm bringing against them are something. Oh no. This is so minimal in their life right now. They have no idea how many lawsuits that are coming their way. Do you understand? You as a viewer, you could file a lawsuit against them for defamation. The things they've said about you, class action, individual, we'll get into that more in the coming months. It is coming. Number 4, the next thing the mayor did was the secretary. Who is and what is the secretary position? Okay, well, we've seen in number 1, number 2, and number 3, Jeremy Hales is mentioned in all 3 of those. Crook says this is why he got a civil protection order against him. Had nothing to do with that firearm being pointed at me or saying that he had his Tic Tac in George's mouth or anything else, right? Not all about this. We're going to make it all about this in federal court. Number 4, the next thing the mayor did was to the secretary out of her position and made her into a helper. I don't even know what that means. And brought in another one of Jeremy Hale's workers to take over the secretary job. Now we have 2 of Jeremy's. This is serious right here. We have 2 Jeremys working. He's literally saying we have 2 Jeremys working in town hall. Now we have 2 of Jeremys. George, would you like 2
You have
of
a
me's?
twin?
Do
you have a twin that I don't know about?
Would that make you happy? I mean, I just want to know how you feel about Madam Mayor Therese being my best friend when you say we're best friends. I mean, is there something I need to tell you about, or?
You can't even explain the things that go through mentally unstable people's minds.
No, you cannot. Okay, so now we have 2 of Jeremy's working in our office to do as they please with a lawsuit going on. And this stuff is on video to prove it. No kidding. As a matter of fact, a lot of videos were shown the ethics investigator. All right, so let's figure this out. He says now that they hired Madam Mayor, not Teresa, Therese, hired another one of my employees. Who he's referring to is Miss Belinda. And Miss Belinda was Miss Claus during Christmas in the Creek. And her husband, Doug, was Santa Claus. And they are tremendous individuals. And I'm so thrilled, just so thrilled that we got to meet them. And we got to meet them because of all this stuff going on in Otter Creek. And I can't emphasize this enough. All of this stuff was happening in Otter Creek before we got here. And all of this stuff would still be happening once we got here, with or without the camera exposing it. The only thing different is I turned a camera on and I tolerated it for 3 years, and then I started exposing it. That's the difference. They've been doing it not to just me. They've been doing it to everybody. Crook's been doing this. LIEnette's been doing this. Stalking people. Extorting people for money. And then calling them child rapists if they don't get it. Belinda and Doug have actually been in Otter Creek for over 30 years. They've seen the tyranny of Russ the Sus. And we truly got to meet them at the Meet the Candidates event that happened when there were 9 candidates running for the town council. And Belinda and Doug were very vocal of, we've had all these promises from Russ the Sus, nothing's ever happened, and we want to see positive change in Otter Creek. And they're not the only ones that want to see positive change. And I got to say that we are so blessed to even know them. They are an incredible couple who have blessed us over and over and over again. Now, I realize that LIEnette and Crook like to say that Jeremy has a problem with old people. And I don't mean this derogatory by any stretch of the imagination. I don't have any problem with Belinda. And yeah, she's older than me. I have all kinds of friends that are older than me.
Do you have a problem with Doug being old?
No problem with Doug's age whatsoever. As a matter of fact, I was just this past weekend, I was hanging out with Mayor Dan in our hometown up north.
And Conky.
And Conky. And Noreen.
And they're all older than you.
All much older than me. And by the way, I have friends that are much younger than me. I have friends that are every color on the spectrum. I have male friends. I have female friends. I have friends that don't agree with my religion. I have friends that don't even match my choice of, you name it. The spectrum is huge. You have friends that hate
ketchup.
Listen, I would never, ever be friends with anybody who hates ketchup, so don't even go there.
But
that's not appropriate.
You do. They exist.
Are you coming out of the closet right now and trying to say you don't like ketchup? Because now's not the time, George. The planet loves ketchup. Belinda has never worked for me, and neither as an employee or an independent contractor. Belinda cares about her town, and Belinda wanted to make a difference in her town. And so she has a tremendous resume and experience of bookkeeping, and she went in and she helped the town. And eventually, she got hired as well. And so I think that's a tremendous thing. So we have 4 points so far.
Didn't Russell and Dawn pick out her resume?
Russell and Don never even showed
They
up.
didn't show up? Oh, I thought they
didn't even
picked out
show
her
up
resume.
for the workshops to go through resumes. They never showed up. Russell and Don, who apparently are trying to save Otter Creek and yet can't show up to even pick the new town clerk. That's how disgusted the townspeople are with Russ the Sus, Don the Con. All right, it's all on video. I mean, Crook is right. It is all on video, and it can be proved because it is all on video, except his narrative is not the one that will be proved by video. How do you even get this? And the answer is mixing rink and rugs. That's how you get to this point. And this is all falsehoods that he will be held accountable for with defamation in federal court. And yes, we will be going to federal court. Did they file a motion? Yep, they did, to dismiss in federal court. We'll get to that in another video. Number 5. Wow, here we go. Number 5, Jeremy Hales again. Even starts it off. Jeremy Hales. This man cannot keep... You know what?
He put a Jeremy Hales.
Here's the funny thing. He says he has a picture of his Tic Tac in George's mouth, and yet the thing he can't keep out of his mouth is my name. I mean, the reality is this man, as he said he was going to see me in a certain kind of video online, I have no doubt he dreams about me being in his mouth.
He lied in court about that.
Oh boy, he's lied about everything in court.
And LIEnette's claiming, and the Jokeless is claiming that he apologized.
Yeah, here's the best part. Crook is lying in court. I never did that. I never said that. And then we have all the screenshots of LIEnette saying, he did it and he
should have
apologized.
never said that and
Leave him
apologized.
alone. Leave him alone.
I
He
have nothing to do with
apologized.
him. I have nothing to do with him and what he does.
It's so funny as LIEnette says, I have nothing to do with him. You can't hold me accountable for what he's doing.
He's his
and
own
yet,
person.
LIEnette is in Florida court going, Jeremy's in charge of all of his fans. You gotta put him in jail because of what his fans are doing. Well, then if you put me in jail because of what my fans are doing, she has to go to jail because of what Crook is doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's truth. All right. Number 5, Jeremy Hales. My name yet again. He's going to rue the day he ever wrote my name down on paper once we're done with him in federal court. Oh, and she's going to rue the day she ever put my name down on posters and put them all up over Otter Creek once we're done with her in federal court. A Jeremy Hales worker walked into town hall recording himself. The only two that were there were the mayor and the new secretary. Again, there's never been a secretary. I don't know where he comes up with this stuff. Asked out loud for the keys to Jeremy's schoolhouse office. I didn't even know. I don't even have an office. We joke and we say it's the urinal, but I have that thing screwed shut because people keep going in there and peeing, and I don't have all the plumbing hooked up. I had to fix it. So I don't even have an office. It's amazing how these two know everything about my life. You think they
But
stalk
they don't watch
me?
your videos.
They don't watch. No, they don't watch my videos, but they want to put everything down here. Oh, and it's all on video. They don't watch my videos. Okay. All right. For the keys to Jeremy's schoolhouse office because he had to work to do over there. So they're running Mr. Hale's business out of town hall. That's funny considering Rosemary thus far, as we've looked at records, has ran 3 businesses simultaneously out of town hall on the taxpayers' dime, with the taxpayers' building, with the taxpayers' utilities.
Did he run and file an ethics complaint on her?
Well, you know, he's on a walker. He can't run. I mean, he might have walkered.
He
might have
dragged
walkered.
his-
Probably drug a tape measure.
And his
I mean, the guy's got a tape
his
measure.
gimp leg.
He obviously can't figure out how far legally he's supposed to be away from me. So I got to remind him 10 feet.
He had the measuring tape. Could have measured.
Could have
10
figured
feet.
it out. He could have measured it, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So they're running Mr. Hale's business out of town hall. Later in the video, they show the secretary on Jeremy's property and her saying she was there to take care of the Hale's ducks. So you know she works for him.
What the duck?
Our mayor, wow, he is incredible at spelling. My goodness, A-R-E.
It's being covered.
Oh, well, that's too bad. You know Crook well enough to know he can't spell R. It's O-U-R, and he put A-R-E. Our mayor, whoa, I just fumbled the phone. I just fumbled it. Okay, I'll show you. Now, that's moving all over the place now, George. I don't know. Is it that important? Should we show? It's right here. I just blew it up like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
A-R-E. Our mayor is just as involved. She works on his property when he's in Ohio. This is very unethical. This is number 5 of 9. All right, let's cover a few of these things. Number 1, we already said there is no secretary in town hall. All right. Number 2, Deanna West is an independent contractor, and yes, she looks over all of my properties for me while I'm in Ohio, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Now, I'm guessing that he's referring to Travis Willis coming to town hall while Deanna West is at work, because Deanna West is the only one in Florida in Otter Creek that has keys to any of my properties. So I believe, if I'm correct, that Travis wanted to do some work on the property, and Deanna's the only one with keys.
Because we were in Ohio at the time.
Because we're in Ohio, Deanna's at work, Travis comes in, hey, can I get the keys? She goes, yep, here they are. Travis goes, and he does work on the property. Now, you have to understand, Travis does not work for me. Travis has... Actually, when we first got here, I hired Travis to do a few different jobs. So he has been employed as an independent contractor, which is work for himself, but I hired him to build shelves. I hired him to fix some plumbing. I hired him to do a bunch of random projects because there were so many that had to be done on the ranch house before we could actually use it appropriately. And after that, a friendship developed. And now Travis comes out to the property And in exchange for video content, in other words, he gets to video What the Hales, throw What the Hales in the title. He does different projects on the property, and he helps out that way. And it's typically Travis who will reach out to me and say, hey, can I do this on your property? Hey, can I come up with this project? And it's usually me goes, yeah, sounds great, whatever. Do whatever you want to do. And so that helps him financially based off of creating videos on YouTube. And then for us, we have a great friendship with Travis. Sometimes there are projects that need to be done. Sometimes there are projects that don't need to be done, but it's just fun for him to do it. So he was not employed. He was not getting any money. But he was helping by creating different projects and having fun on the property and making videos for YouTube. So him going into town hall and saying, hey, can I get the keys is no big deal. No different than Doug coming in to Belinda and saying, hey, can I get the keys to the car? Or Brett coming in to Madam Mayor Therese saying, hey, can I get the keys to the shed? No different whatsoever. Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. Travis does not work for me. He has never been employed by me. He has done third-party work when we first got here in 2021. And then other than that, it's just fun for him to make videos. He went in to get keys. That doesn't matter. And that is not unethical. But if you're John Crook, and you need keys to the shed, maybe that is. Maybe that is. Yeah, Madam Mayor on the property. I forgot about that in number 5. Oh, and Madam Mayor's been on his property. Of course she has.
She's been on their property more times than we have.
All right, so here's what you don't see. John Crook, Septis, and LIEnette calling Madam Mayor Therese and Brett before she's mayor. And during this time, you have to understand this. During this time, LIEnette and Crook have been saying the most horrific things, not only about us, about Therese, Brett, about the Hudson sisters, other individuals, many individuals in Otter Creek, okay? They are just defaming anyone and everyone they possibly can. And nobody wants anything to do with them. And even after all this defamation that they said and that they posted, which Madam Mayor Therese, we all have the screenshots. Everyone in Otter Creek has the screenshots of what these two have said and done, right? And so they get a phone call, LIEnette crazy call, which when isn't a crazy call? John's dying. And so they leave Bible study and go pick John up off of the shed floor. He's urinated all over himself, and they call an ambulance. And frankly,
She didn't call the ambulance.
LIEnette didn't call the
them.
ambulance. It was Madam Mayor and Brett that called the ambulance. And frankly, probably saved his life.
She should have called the ambulance first.
These are the individuals that he's writing ethics complaints about that literally probably saved his life. Now, why isn't that in his ethics complaint? Madam Mayor, Teresa, who doesn't exist, was on my property and saved my life, and I urinated all over her. Why isn't that in the complaint? You know, there's nothing wrong with being a good neighbor. Nothing at all. As a matter of fact, when they first came and they lied to me and told me that it was their property and asked if I would bring my tractor over and move a downed tree, which was a huge pecan tree. And they lied to me. They did not own the property. They were not in negotiations and contracting the property. They didn't even put their own property up for sale until they confirmed that I lived here. And then I came over with the tractor, and then they put their property up for sale. Then they found a buyer, and then they entered a contract for the property across the street from us. Again, further proving the stalking, all right? The property was never for sale. We can prove it. We will be proving it in court. She had not been watching it because there was nothing to watch. It's never been listed. So let me digress. There's nothing wrong with having friends. As a matter of fact, I'd do anything for any of the neighbors here in Otter Creek. And I do a lot, and they do a lot for us. Out of 100 residents, give or take, any day, it could be more, it could be less, 25%, over 25 of them were here for Christmas in the Creek volunteering and giving kids one of the best Christmases ever. Is that illegal? Nope. Is it illegal to have friends, Teresa and Brett? No. They're the first individuals that we met here in Otter Creek. They helped us transition. They taught us about the area. They shared with us the local places.
We lived on their campground.
We lived
for
on
2
their
months.
campground for 2 months as we waited to get on our property.
So did LIEnette and Crook.
And how did LIEnette and Crook know about their
'Cause they
campground?
mimic us.
Because they They mimic everything we do, and they watched all our videos.
Brett hauled their camper from Northport.
Brett went and picked up their camper from Northport, put it on the property. Within the first month, Brett called us, and he was like, listen, these people are crazy. You can have your superfans back. We don't want them. And I'm like, we don't want them?
Well, Therese would share with me
Oh,
that
my goodness.
LIEnette would do nothing but talk about you.
Stalker.
Every day
Oh,
it
so
was
obsessed.
you. That's all she
So
talked about
obsessed.
was you.
LIEnette is so ridiculously obsessed with me. It's insane. It literally is insane. And further proof that we need all the protection we can get in the court system against these individuals. So it's a problem if I'm friends with Therese and Brett, but it's not a problem if Therese and Brett actually save his life. How do you figure that one out in your mind?
Don't forget, they gave them pool lining for their
Well,
rescue.
you gave them a pool lining so they could actually create pools for the animals, which they got in trouble because they didn't have pools for the animals when wildlife officer went out there, and the list goes on and on. So why isn't that in the ethics complaint? I mean, Russ, the sus, Don the con's been on their property. Why isn't that in the ethics complaint? Because there's nothing wrong with being a good neighbor. As a matter of fact, our neighbor right across the street, I haven't even told George this yet. Our neighbor right across the street yesterday sent me a text. He said, hey man, happy Easter. Hope everything's going great for you. And I texted him back. I was like, hey, happy Easter to you and your family as well. And I want to emphasize, we're so thankful to have you as neighbors. Thank you for being great neighbors. And you know what he texts back? Same to you guys. We're so thankful. Thank you for being great neighbors. Now, you've never seen him on a video before, and you probably never will, because there's no need to actually record him and his family. They are great neighbors, and we appreciate them, and they appreciate us, and that's the way it typically is, unless you get a LIEnette and a crook living across the street from you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with being friends with the mayor of your town. As a matter of fact, I just spent time with my mayor up north. And I don't mind spending time with my vice mayor currently down here either. Believe it or not, point number 6 doesn't mention me. So I'm not going to mention it either, because that's not going to be applicable in the federal court. But number 7 does, because it says the mayor and the vice mayor and Jeremy Hales. Yet again, man, this guy is obsessed too, George. It's hard to believe. Madam Mayor's husband just texted me. I wonder if that's going to be in the next ethics report. Uh-oh, I got a text from Brett. It's totally unethical. Or it might just be we're friends. Yeah, that's
Brett and
probably
John
what it is.
used to text each other all the time.
Oh, yeah, well, we got the screenshots. We got the receipts. All right, the mayor and the vice mayor and Jeremy Hales are trying to make Otter Creek unincorporated for their own benefit and the profits. The mayor has a campground with her husband. Well, no, she doesn't anymore, but we'll get to that. With lots of land, and it wasn't that much land either. And it will drop her taxes down dramatically. Also, with the new deal she's got going with the Hales, we're going to have to take this piece by piece because this is crazy. And the vice mayor is building a campground as well. They don't care anything about Otter Creek or the people who live there. It's all about themselves.
Really? Because they have a campground now.
Oh, well, they have two campers over there now and no campground permit. It's totally unethical. That's what it says. And she even hints about it in a live meeting. All right, let's take this piece by piece. The mayor and the vice mayor and Jeremy Hales are trying to make Otter Creek unincorporated. 3 people in Otter Creek cannot unincorporate Otter Creek. And let's back up a little bit. In 2000, was it 10 or 14?
Mm-hmm.
2014, was it?
Yeah.
2014, Russ the Sus did not get voted in as mayor. He went around with a petition, and he tried to get the residents of Otter Creek to unincorporate.
How come Crook didn't include that in his ethics
I don't get
report?
it. Why didn't Crook include that? That Russ the Sus actually tried to unincorporate Otter Creek.
Well,
but
now
he
that
couldn't
they're
get enough
best friends,
signatures.
you should ask them.
Yeah, that would be good since they're hanging out all the time. I mean, I should write an ethics
Does that mean they're
violation
best
on
friends?
that. They very well could be. I mean, who knows what they put in each other's... Well, let's just stop right there. Okay, drinks. Who knows what they put in each other's drinks? All right, the mayor and the vice mayor and Jeremy Hales are trying to make Otter Creek unincorporated. The only one that's ever attempted to do that is Russ the Sus, and he failed drastically, just like he has in life. His businesses, everything. He failed drastically, okay? For their own benefit and the profits, mayor has a campground. Madam Mayor Therese sold the campground with her husband, Brett, and they always had that in the plan to build it, sell it, and go retire and live life. As a matter of fact,
Form
they're
6 pushed that goal for them quicker.
they're in Key West right now, enjoying their life away from Otter Creek. Can you blame them? And it would drop her taxes dramatically. As a matter of fact, it would. It would drop everybody's taxes. And as being one of the top, I think it was top 3 or top 5. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's a lot of tops. But as one of the top taxpayers in Otter Creek, it drastically drops mine too, because you're paying, well, depending on where you live, what state you live in, you could be paying federal taxes, state taxes, county taxes, city taxes, or in this case, town taxes. So if you eliminate the town taxes, the county comes in. All of a sudden, you got code enforcement. All of a sudden, you got dog warden. All of a sudden, you've got zoning. All of a sudden, you have all of these things, protection with police and fire, that the town can't afford. Seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? Unincorporate, you can't afford it, and everybody's fighting over it, and Russell Suss wants power, and John Crook's writing stupid fiction novels here about ridiculous stuff, which I'm thankful he did, because it's going to court. It's just more evidence against him in court and defamation.
Backfire.
So, everything this idiot does backfires on him. And I love that there are more idiots telling him to do things like this, because it all backfires on them. All right, and so it's going to benefit the mayor. No campground anymore. Sorry, sold it. They're out. They're retired, and they're living life. They're living their best life, and we can't be prouder of them for making that monumental decision. I mean, most people would think, oh, man, I would love to do that. But the reality is that's a big step and a big transition and a big change in life, and we're proud of them for doing it. And so the husband has lots of land. No, the one who has lots of land, I believe that George and I are probably, I think we're number 2 as far as owning the most land in Otter Creek.
In one parcel?
In one parcel, yes. And so the Hales and the vice mayor are building camp. All right, so the Hales are not building a campground. We've never built a campground. We have no plans to build a campground. But if it ever becomes economically feasible and it makes sense for a business plan to build a campground, I'm not saying I never will. Plans change, things change, circumstances change, situations change. But as of right now, I have no plan to build a campground. The vice mayor is building a campground. I'm thrilled for him. That's fantastic. Otter Creek needs more taxpayers to give more money to the town so we can actually take care of the people. That's a great thing. Oh, by the way, you can't, and Jeremy Hales can't, and the vice mayor and the mayor can't unincorporate the town. The people have to vote to unincorporate the town. It was Don the Con who made a motion in an actual town council meeting. I vote we unincorporate. It was Gail Lamb, council member, who said, we need to unincorporate. So all this fighting stops. You unincorporate, and these individuals that think there's some kind of power to hold on to here in Otter Creek, it's gone. County takes care of it all. Is there corruption at the county level? I guarantee it. There's 2 Meeks on the council board. There are 2 Meeks that are commissioners. One is Russell Suss' son. One is Russell Suss' cousin. I guarantee it. There's horrific corruption. But if it doesn't impact me and I don't see it, I'm not going to go and film it. I don't want these things in my life. There are other people who can go expose it, and I want peace in my life again. All right, it's totally unethical. She even hints about it in a live meeting. The only meeting where unincorporation was talked about was by Don the Con,
who voted on it.
Well, I make the motion that we unincorporate.
The other things he wrote doesn't say Jeremy Hale, so I'm not going to cover it. But his PS, remember when LIEnette PS'd the judge? Mm-hmm. Postscript the judge, his PS. I would have loved it if he would have actually wrote PS down here, but he didn't. He said, more violations coming by others. Oh, nothing's shown up yet. And remember, Jeremy Hales is who had his YouTube fans tie up your phone lines with phony stuff. Well, what happened is the Ethics Commission actually sent out an investigator. After the investigation, everything was found out to be phony, stated by Crook. All false, all lies. And now it's going to federal court, and he's going to be held accountable for it.